This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we are celebrating the baseball and softball teams qualifying for the NESCAC tournament. Plus, a pair of pole vaulters made headlines at the NESCAC Championships. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The softball team swept Colby over the weekend, defeating the Mules by scores of 8-0, 11-3, and 1-0. In the process, Bates set a new program record for wins in a season with 20. Sophomore Kirsten Pelletier earned NESCAC Pitcher of the Week honors after she no-hit the Mules on Friday and shut them out again on Saturday. Meanwhile, first-year Caroline Bass had a sensational week, going 10 for 19 at the plate, setting the Bates all-time single-season hits and runs scored records in the process. And for that, Caroline Bass is our female Bobcat of the week. Well, Caroline, first of all, your first year here at Bates, so tell us about the process of looking for colleges and what made you come from Massachusetts up here to Maine for college.
I looked at a bunch of different schools. Honestly, right off the bat, I knew I wanted a small liberal school, and what really captured my attention about Bates is just the fact that it's so small, and like everybody here just seems so genuine and nice and kind, especially like the softball team. I love everybody on the team. I think that really captured like my interest in coming to Bates.
So I think you took some visits here and everything. What were those like?
I didn't officially do a sleepover here, but I know I came to a few clinics, and just the way the team interacted with me was really genuine, and I really liked that. And just going on tours, I really liked the tour guides and how they spoke with us. So
growing up, when did you start playing softball, and when did you start thinking, I could probably play this in college?
I actually started playing baseball when I was younger. Nice. I played up till 7th grade, and then I switched over to softball. So I didn't think about playing softball in college until I hit high school. My coach was just like, hey, like, you're really good at softball. Like, have you thought about playing in college? And I was like, no. And she was like, you should totally check it out. So I joined the Concord Raiders, and I got into it. So
interesting. So your background initially in baseball, but now, as a softball player, you're, a slap hitter at the top of the lineup. That's a totally different style of hitting. So when did you learn to do that? My
high school coach noticed I was really fast, and she had some previous players who were playing in college and were slap hitters. So she had them come in and just teach me how to slap, and that's basically where I learned how to slap, and I just practiced in games. And honestly, it wasn't too hard to learn how to do. I just run and hit the ball, I guess. I guess that's how I was taught to do it. So
there you go. What refinements have you made in your game since arriving at Bates, working with Mikkel and working with the coaching staff here?
I think just talking with Mikkel, with Coach, I think one of the major things was, just attacking the zone early and just getting ahead in the count and making sure that you get, like, the first good ball, like, you just attack it. And I think, like, that was really different from high school because high school pitchers aren't as good. They might, get behind in the count. And, I was taught to, like, just be patient. But I think, like, with Coach, I was really taught to, really attack the zone early. I think that helps a lot.
Excellent. What's it like for you to have broken the Bates single-season hits record as a first year?
Honestly, I had no idea about it until, my teammates were telling me about it. It's a pretty cool thing, but I really want to beat Amherst on Friday. I think that would be even cooler. Right. NESCAC tournament single elimination, so anything can happen. How excited is the team right now? I bet pretty thrilled. Yeah, we're pretty pumped. We're just focusing on the game. I'm just taking one thing at a time, breaking things into small bits, and hopefully we come out on the winning side.
What's it like having a pitcher like KP there in the circle? I mean, she's another no-hitter this weekekend, right?
Yeah, oh my God, she's amazing. Honestly, she's one of the best pitchers I've ever seen. Just having her out there makes me feel very relaxed. And I mean, all three of our pitchers are very capable. I have a faith in all three of them, but yeah.
And you have kind of a dynamic duo there at the top of the order, right? It's you and Dre. What's that been like? Because you set the table really well, right?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, just getting on base, having Dre get on base, it really sets the tone for the inning, for the game. It's been really exciting.
And then what's been maybe like the biggest adjustment to college ball? You mentioned that obviously everyone's really good here, but like maybe what are some other things that you've noticed about college that are different from high school?
I would say play is definitely more intense. I'd probably say, like, everybody's just so good. Everybody was recruited to play, like, in college, basically. I think just knowing that, like, all of the hitters can hit, all of the pitchers can pitch, I think that's been, like, a huge, like, difference from high school, where it might be just, like, the top two can hit, and then the rest of the lineup is just easy outs, basically. Right.
Now, you mentioned, obviously, Amherst, your opponent, at their place on Friday. Do you know anything much about them? I mean, they obviously have a really good record. Is there much film study involved here, or do they just go out there and play?
No, we just go out and play.
Yeah.
I honestly really don't know that much about them, so.
Gotcha. Is that an exciting feeling, or what's going through everyone's minds right now, you think?
I'm definitely a little nervous. I know they're ranked number 11 in the country, but honestly, that doesn't mean anything. I know, like, if we put our best effort forward and, just do the little things, I know we can beat them, but, I'm definitely really excited.
Tell me a little bit about academics in terms of the adjustment there. I mean, obviously, Bates, a very good academic school. So what's then that adjustment like from high school?
Yeah, it's definitely been academically challenging, but I think my high school prepared me very well in terms of just how to study and what to expect from professors. But I've felt very supported by my professors and by my other peers, so it hasn't been too challenging.
Any your thoughts on your first year here at Bates in terms of what it's been like for you?
It's been a huge adjustment, but I'm really happy I came here. I've made some great friends. I love the softball team. I love my classes. I love my professors. I just love everything about Bates.
The Bobcats finished the NESCAC season with a record of 5-7, good for a spot in the NESCAC tournament. They play at Amherst this Friday at 2:30 p.m. Meanwhile, the Bates baseball team also qualified for the NESCAC tournament. The Bobcats got the win they needed on Saturday in Game 1 of a doubleheader against Tufts. Sophomore Nolan Collins went the distance in the 5-0 win, striking out a career-high 8 and holding the powerful Jumbo's offense to just 3 hits. And Nolan Collins is our male Bobcat of the week. We know Tufts has a great offense. We've seen them score a lot of runs this year. You were able to completely shut them down over a complete game, 7 innings. What was the biggest key, you think, in your mind out there on the mound that allowed you to have such success on Saturday?
I think it was really just commanding our pitches. I had good location on my fastball. I could throw my breaking ball for a strike. And just being able to get ahead of their hitters and then throw them off balance really worked out for us.
The previous game where Connor Russell threw on Friday, you were probably watching that pretty intensely, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just looking like what they do with certain pitches, where to throw against them. And really, against that team, if you leave the ball up, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to take advantage of your mistakes. So you really just have to minimize that. And I made there were a couple balls I left up, but I mean, for the most part, just learning from what Russ was doing. And Russ pitched well. He only had a couple mistakes, but it's just kind of, we all go after it with the same model, really. Just being able to throw the fastball for a strike down in the zone and then work from there.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to some guys. The coaching staff has really emphasized pitching it down. What some drills you've been doing? I know.
We set up a little yellow string right at the knees, and we'll just throw bullpens. And every time you hit the string, it's you're just aiming for that. We always say in the dugout, pop the string. It's working down at the knees, because when you work down there, really all they can do is hit it into the ground. So that's what we did, and it worked. So.
You got in some trouble in the first inning, but you were able to get out of it. What was going through your mind after Tufts got a couple guys on base there?
Just to minimize, just to keep doing what I'm doing. They had a single on one ball I left up, but we just keep the mentality of attacking the hitters, and basically just sometimes they get themselves out too. So it works.
I'm curious, for starting pitchers, sometimes the first inning is the inning that teams sometimes can, jump on them a little bit, and then it seems like starters tend to settle down. Why do you think that is, at least from your mindset going forward? Why, second, third, fourth inning starts to get more into a rhythm, perhaps?
Yeah, for me, I think it's just finding out what's working on that day, getting into a rhythm. And after the first time through the lineup, I feel a lot more comfortable because I've faced the hitters before, and it's really just you kind of figure out what to throw them.
And obviously Saturday was beautiful weather. Friday not as much. But for you as a California guy, it must have been nice to pitch in that kind of condition.
Oh, yeah, I loved it. I felt like I was back home. It was nice. I love the warm weather, so it was good.
And then Jack Aaron, obviously you mentioned you're close with him. He was the catcher for you there, as he is most days there on Saturday. What was that relationship like, talking over how to attack these tough hitters?
Yeah, we were on the same page. Basically, every pitch he called, I already had gripped in my glove. So it was like we knew what we were doing. We were attacking hitters the right way, and we were just on the same page.
Did you go out there thinking, I want to throw a complete game? Because 7 innings, right?
Well, so originally I thought there's no chance I go 7 innings in this game because, like, all week I had, like, a little bit soreness in my arm, so I was a little, like, timid coming out there. I didn't know how it was going to go, but it went pretty much as well as it possibly could have. Because, like, I thought, like, okay, hopefully I get to the 6th inning and we bring in Shapiro for the 7th, but we didn't need it. It was nice.
And then how satisfying was it between games to be able to sit down, you have ice on your arm, get to eat some food, right?
Yeah, it was a big weight off my shoulders just knowing that we're in the playoffs. We got the win, and we haven't beaten Tufts in like 2 or 3 years, I think. So it was a big win for us.
And then obviously you've got a couple of non-conference games here before the postseason. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you're going to be pitching at all to gear up, but what do you think the team's approach is going to be, to prepare here for the NESCAC tournament? Yeah,
we just need to like keep our energy up, keep playing with confidence, and we're playing really good teams this upcoming week. So we just need to stay in a good rhythm and be able to hit the pitchers and just do what we've been doing.
Obviously, the team got the NESCAC tournament last year when you were a first year. Mm-hmm. What do you think everyone learned from that experience? A couple of close games. Right?
Yeah, it's just that every inning counts. Every out, you have to play 27 outs. And you can't really take any plays off. And these teams, they're good enough. They're going to take advantage of every mistake. So we have to be sharp.
And then, coming in here as a first year, you got some midweek starts this year. You've been one of the weekend guys. What's really clicked overall, you think, this season for you? Because, the numbers are obviously much improved for you.
Yeah, I think my command is a lot better this year. I'm getting into less 3-ball counts. I'm staying ahead of batters, which keeps them off balance. And that's really the key, just throwing strikes.
What was your reaction when the final out there was recorded on Saturday?
I gave a little fist pump, and I was like, thank God. We did it. It was just awesome. Gave Jack a hug. It was great. It was like one of the best moments.
So I bet you're pretty geared up to pitch in the tournament, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm super pumped. I can't wait. I know we're slotted for the night game on the first day, so that's going to be pretty awesome playing under the lights. It'll be cool.
And you guys had good memories from Trinity already, right?
Yeah, we've been there. We own that field. So hopefully we come out there with the same energy and confidence and just absolutely mow them down.
All right. Nolan Collins, Male Bobcat of the Week. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
The track and field teams competed at the NESCAC Championships on Saturday. For the women's team, senior Catherine Cook won the 10,000-meter run with a career-best time of 35 minutes, 38.21 seconds, breaking Abigail Anthony's 2001 team record. Meanwhile, for the men's team, senior captain Adedire Fakariti won the discus throw for the second straight year, placed second in the hammer throw, and third in the shot put. First years John Rex and Zach Smith both won all NESCAC honors for top 3 finishes in the hammer and javelin throws, respectively. Both Rex and Smith set new personal bests. Another highlight for the men's team, which placed 5th overall, occurred in the pole vault. Bates seniors Garrett Anderson and David Dick took first and second place in the pole vault, respectively, with both men clearing the bar at 15 feet 5 inches. The height matched Anderson's career best and established a career best for Dick. Talking some pole vaulting here on the Bobcast with David Dick. You were runner-up there to your teammate, Garrett Anderson, at the NESCAC Championships. You guys had the same final height, though. I know the personal best for you, right? And so, first of all, I want to know when you started pole vaulting. Like, when did you get into that?
I started pole vaulting sophomore year of high school. My father had done it for a while, and so I thought I'd give it a try at that point.
What was the trickiest part about? Because for me, I think it would be the fear of, impaling myself or something. What was the trickiest part of learning this of the event, basically?
The funny thing is, people always see the worst highlights from pole vault because, those might be the most entertaining. But for me, I never really had that fear. Actually, I wouldn't say I had much of that fear until recently, this year, which is kind of crazy to think back on the, other 6 years I've done pole vault. But no, starting was okay. The most frustrating thing was having to start low. You see a lot of people that are really good, especially when you start, and it's not immediately obvious that it took them so much time to get there. So for me, when I was a sophomore in high school, jumping 9 or 10 feet, that was frustrating. But quickly I got better after a few years. So
this weekend, I mean, what a weekend! I mean, it couldn't have gone more perfectly for the vaulters, right?
Yeah, all across the board, the 4 of us who vaulted at this meet all did really, really well. Dakota Griffin had a personal best he tied from sophomore year, which was great. And we realized that all together the 4 of us beat the rest of Maine that meet, so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, Rhett and I also had a really good day too.
What's the key to a successful pole vault? What's like the technique? What's like the biggest and most important part, do you think?
Confidence. And that kind of ties into the discussion about fear, but if you're not confident coming down the runway, then you need that initial takeoff, the whole approach to be a confident approach, or else the rest of your jump is going to take a hit for it. If you're not confident throughout the run, throughout the takeoff, then the rest of your jump won't follow. Everything follows from the beginning.
How good of a feeling was it once you cleared to have, as you're falling, you knew you did it, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the video, but I was pretty jazzed about that one. And the height before it too was also a personal best for me, and so both of those heights, in the air on the way down, I was pretty hyped up. I yelled, I think.
How much practice time is devoted to it? Because I know it requires a bit of a setup. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I think the mats themselves are a couple tens of thousands of dollars, but it's also pretty taxing. So we actually practice vault twice a week, and the other 3 days during the week we're practicing run mechanics, jumping strength, technique, just smaller drills, not actual vaulting. But during the weekend is where we get the best practices. Meets are always our best practices.
Right. So what's it looking like in terms of pole vaulting in terms of New England's? I mean, is there a chance at nationals here? How's it break down, you think?
Yeah. Garrett and I just moved into a spot where the next height could send us to nationals. Nationals takes top 20, and right now we're sitting tied around 30th. But that being said, the heights that we're jumping at are pretty standard heights across the board. So if we make one more, then that'll put us significantly further up the line, potentially into 15th, 16th, which could send us. Obviously, we're hoping for more than that. I think the next height, 485 in meters, is just below the school record. So that's also been on our mind too. But as for New England's, puts us in a really good spot next week. I think as it stands, we're seeded first. I don't care about the seeds, but just to give you some reference. And 2 weeks out, this qualified us for Open New England's too, which is all divisions, and not sure where we stand there, but looking forward to that too.
You got a number of chances here left to really move up a little bit. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one more meet in addition to those two, that the last chance meet at MIT, that'll give us an opportunity to qualify for nationals. I think that's the ultimate goal of this season.
Because you're both seniors, right? I mean, you and Rhett are both seniors. It seems like it's all come together this year. What's been the process like since you were a first year doing soccer and track, and then now to your senior year focusing more on just the pole vault essentially, right?
Exactly. The process I think has been the key throughout this whole thing, and refining the process, identifying what will best support you in your goals has been the major key for me in becoming a better vaulter. Freshman year, things are totally different, especially with soccer. I had a lot of things to focus on, and since then I've been won over by the track team, trying to focus on one thing to see if I can become as good as I can possibly be at that one thing. And it's been really rewarding, especially this year, just to see everything come together. It's been great, especially with Garrett and with the other vaulters and with the rest of the team. This team is doing incredible things. You interview someone new every week, which is a testament to how the depth of this team. So. it's been an incredible process.
Excellent. I know you're very strong academically as well. So how have you been able to, balance the two? When you start here, three pursuits essentially, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that sports has actually supported my academic career because I have practice every day at one time. It's given me some really good structure to base the rest of my day off of. So for me, sports, I think, has led to more academic success than I could have asked for.
David Dick, thanks so much.
Great, thank you very much.
From one pole vaulter to another, Rhett Anderson here on the Bobcast with us. And first of all, NESCAC champion. What does that mean to you? What goes through your mind when you hear that?
Man, it's kind of crazy just thinking about it. The NESCAC right now, at least in terms of pole vault, is probably the most competitive it's been in a really long time. If we look at the scoring for this meet, you score out to 8 places. And today, or this weekend, 13.6 was 8th place, whereas normally an 11.6 jump would be able to get in for the points. And going into the meet, we knew that there were 4 people who had jumped 15 feet before, and it could really just go to anyone. So to be able to not only win, but also have this sweep where David and I had a crazy day, it was a really cool experience.
I asked David what's the key to being a good pole vaulter. He said confidence. Do you agree with that?
100%. Yeah, I actually, my friends in high school used to make fun of me for always telling them confidence is key. But for vault, it is kind of a scary event. A lot of things can potentially go wrong, and if you go on YouTube, you can see a lot of funny things can go wrong too. But even at the highest levels, there's so much confidence is required to be able to do it well. You can't just kind of half-heartedly go into a jump. There's no such thing as trying to be safe in pole vault, because being safe is going as fast as you can and fully committing.
Right. Well, when did you start pole vaulting? How did you get into it?
So I started vaulting the freshman year of high school. I was on track the year before and kind of always saw them from afar. At that point, my school had the then school record holder jumping, and so I got to see a little bit of it, and I always just kind of thought, that looks really cool. Freshman year, after a few days of practice, I asked my coach, hey, coach, I really want to try out pole vault. Can I go over there? And he said, sure. And so I went and tried, and then by sophomore year, I had the new school record, and it was able to improve it by 2.5 feet in my time there. So it was really great, and I knew I was going to come and vault in college.
Do you remember your first time actually pole vaulting? Because it seems like you said you have to go full speed, and
right.
And you're going so high in the air, and there's a giant pole.
Yeah, well, so the kind of interesting thing about pole vault is how you learn pole vaulting the form ends up very different from high-level vaulting later on. And so I think rather than, the first time I left the ground doing a straight pole rather than actually bending the pole and getting any jump out of it, I do very, very clearly remember the first time I bent the pole. And it's one of those things where I came in at full speed and just really pushed my arms up as high as I could and bent the pole, and my coach looked at me and I looked at him, and we were both kind of shocked at what had just happened. And I was a freshman at the time, and we're like, oh, we might be able to go somewhere with this. And so we did.
Excellent. What made you decide to continue pole vaulting here at Bates, or come into Bates for college in the first place?
So actually the funny thing about that is I used to really be into hiking. And so I was looking at Bates. A big reason I wanted to come to Bates at first was just because of the outing club, which somewhat ironically I haven't really participated in that much in my time here. I think I've really committed more to track. Mm-hmm. But in my last little tour of colleges, right when I was kind of first doing my applications, I met with all of the coaches for the teams. I knew for a long time I was going to vault in college. I didn't want to go D1. So I was looking at a lot of schools in the NESCAC, Hamilton, also St. Lawrence for some reason. But, I remember very clearly I met with the Bates coach, Coach Al Fairsheen, who's been a really big help in my time here. He's really a great coach, probably one of the best coaches, if not the best, in the NESCAC, and definitely in D3s as well. But I remember my time here the guys on the team all seemed really great, and it seemed like I would be able to really fit in here.
How cool is it now as a senior, you and David having all the success? It's all coming together now. It seems like your final quarter.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I feel like every year my best meets are in short term, which is only 5 weeks of really good performances. But it's been really great seeing David in particular continue to rise to the top. I mean, he came in this year with a PR of 13.6, I think, which now he's improved that by 2 feet in the vault. That's really incredible. He's been working through a lot of kind of injuries, and he was abroad at Dartmouth last semester. He's on one of those 2111 engineering programs. Gotcha, yeah. So it's just been really great. First of all, seeing him have such improvement, but also it's great having him on the team because it pushes me to be a lot better. And I think, it's been really great to kind of see all of this improvement in the last few weeks and have it come to a head at the NESCAC meet was really cool.
Because you guys basically tied, but then they have that tiebreaker with
right. Yeah. Well, so actually, my coach and I thought that we clearly didn't know the rules super well, but I thought that he won, that David won. The way it worked is we both got 15.5 and 14.11 on our first attempt, but then after that, I actually had 2 attempts at 14.6, whereas he got it on his first attempt. But because he came in to the meet earlier and actually had, I think he got 1 height on his third attempt, he had more total misses than me. So after like 2 heights, they go by total misses rather than most recent. So I ended up winning. But it was one of those things where we both won.
Right, yeah.
I wish we could have just had a straight tie, but oh well.
For sure. And then now you've got New England's,
yes,
Open New England's, and then possibly the last chance. And then David said one more level up, you guys have a good shot at Nationals. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's something where right now I think if you go on TFRS, the big track and field records website, I think we're ranked at 28th in Division III. So a jump of 485, which is 15, what would that be, like 1510, 1511? That would be right at 18th place, which is going in. So we probably want to go even a little bit higher than that, but I think there's a really real chance that we both could go to Nationals, which we've been talking about all year, but it feels a little more real right now.
Right, it definitely feels more real after you finish 1 and 2 in such a competitive conference. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then, in terms of any other thoughts on like pole vaulting and what people should know about it, because I know it's just not necessarily an event people see all that often, really.
Well, it's definitely the coolest event in track and field.
There you go.
I think a lot of things about pole vaulting is just how much technique is involved. Yeah. And kind of compared to the rest of track and field, it almost feels more like a gymnastic event in a sense of like, I personally don't really think of it as being competitive too much to the extent as we're all competing against the bar.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the pole vaulters in general, compared to maybe distance runners, we're all really friendly with each other, even across other fields. Except, there's like one school that I'm not going to mention who
not as friendly.
they don't like to talk to us too much. But I mean, we're super tight with all of the main schools. I know everyone in the conference super well. And you mentioned this upcoming weekend will be competing at the Division III New England Championships, and that's something where the top 4 guys right now are MIT, Coast Guard, and then Bates and Bates. Nice. But I've been jumping with those guys for 4 years. We all know each other super well. I think it's going to be a really great competition.
Excellent. Rhett Anderson, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
The men's lacrosse team defeated Colby 20-15 on Wednesday to qualify for the NESCAC tournament, but they fell at Wesleyan by a score of 16-11 on Saturday in the quarterfinals to wrap up their season. Meanwhile, the women's lacrosse team narrowly missed out on a NESCAC tournament bid, falling in overtime 8-7 to Colby on Wednesday. It's championship season for the Bates rowing teams. The New England Rowing Championships are this Saturday in Worcester. Head coach Peter Steenstra previews the action. You got to host some regattas back-to-back weeks, President's Cup, Bates Invitational. I'm sure that's always very fun for the teams. Finally get to race out there on the Androscoggin. What was the experience like there?
A lot of flow of the river for one thing, some debris on one day. We spent a lot of time clearing that out, and then with the water, with that flow, it makes the race course a little bit longer, and on top of it, real cold water actually makes the boats move a little bit slower through there.
So is that a good thing for training purposes, or is it not a factor? Or what?
You could say the additional resistance would maybe, if we're going to come up with something, you could maybe say it's loosely akin to when a swimmer wears like a ratty old swimsuit, something that's not as fast as their best, right? Part psychological, perhaps, but it's a little bit of resistance training that's built in, yeah.
Gotcha. And then New England's this weekend. What's this regatta like typically each year? You guys, obviously, the team has had a lot of success there.
We have, yeah. It's a large regatta. Because you've included a bunch of those smaller colleges that have only fours and things, but we also have all the clubs involved, which is a great race. But we've done well there in the past years, and it's a really good challenge. It's heats and finals, which is always the really good racing that you want to have. So you're earning your way into the big race at the end of the day that is 6 boats wide, and it's the best of the best in New England, and it's a lot of fun.
And then I noticed, obviously, you focus on the 8s, but the 4s have been getting opportunities. You were mixing up the lineup a little bit. What's that like, making lineups out of 4, rowers as opposed to 8, and then how do you decide who goes where and stuff?
Yeah, you can have 4 people and have very different lineups within just those same 4 folks. So there's a lot that you do, a lot of voodoo with the rigging and a lot of movement of bodies, and it is a bit of a challenge for the coaches to make sure that the rowers themselves are perfectly tuned within those boats, because you're trying to make 4 people that have found themselves sort of at the bottom of the team, right? They have to then fit together into a more technical boat than the 8 and then do well. And our guys right now are responding really well to that.
So 4s are more technical than 8s? What does that mean, I guess, Canada?
Well, you think of it in terms of how much material is there per rower, right? And you have a lot more material per rower in the 4 than you do in the 8. And you still have that coxswain there taking up a lot of space. So with that in mind, you have more work to do. Each rower has to propel the boat more with with more exertion and everything else. So the better you can tune the boat so that it fits perfectly into that group of people, the better off you'll be.
For the women, first-year coxswain, Folsom, she's worked her way into the first varsity 8. What have you seen from her so far as a first-year? Obviously, you mentioned before she brings a lot of experience to the table already.
She does. She had a real good racing experience as a high school student. Big competitive program out there on the West Coast. She's just a kind of a calm, cool-headed kid who is kind of showing herself being somewhat humble and very open-minded to everything that's new. She's just doing a really good job. She has a very experienced group in that varsity 8, and I think she just is providing them with a good, cool customer in the strokes in the coxswain seat.
I was going to say, like the varsity 8 for the women, we've seen in the past, you mix it up a little bit sometimes. It seems like we've had a pretty consistent lineup recently. Is that fair?
Pretty consistent. Yeah. These are the strongest ergs for the most part in the team. There's a lot of depth in the group anyway. The JV 8 has done well, but the reason I've had to spend so much time with the JV and like the 3V people is because the 3V is so fast. Mm-hmm. That there are bodies in there that may contribute to the speed of the 2V, and so we have to spend some time to figure that out. So the varsity 8 was made pretty early, and that doesn't mean that it's perfectly set. You might see changes as early as this weekend, but for the most part, it's all about figuring out the V16, the varsity 16. Right. So who are the top 16 people, and therefore the group that is highest likelihood of being the NCAA group, provided we get a chance to go.
Right, so that's on the women's side. Now on the men's side, obviously, we talked about this before, but their goal is IRAs. They have to beat your alma mater, Hobart, in a couple of weeks, right? That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, they've done really well to beat most, if not all, of the Division III / the clubs that are in the region for New England. They've done really well there. We've raced up by going against the Harvard Lightweights, who turn out to be one of the top 2 fastest boats in the lightweight league. So that's exciting. Racing MIT was big. Racing St. Joe's for the first time was big, and we beat Holy Cross just recently, so that was a big move for us. So our guys are certainly competing at an IRA level already, right? We're seeing a bunch of crews that are our IRA standard, and so that's the direction we want to go. And as we tell the guys, we only race up. We try not to race down. We want to race the best that we possibly can, because we love racing. It's not just winning that we like. They love racing.
Yeah, what are the personalities like of that varsity 8 boat for them, man?
Yeah, well, you get them one step away from the boat and they turn into a bunch of goofballs. But they're pretty intense when you have them standing together and you start discussing the boat or how it's running or the starting sequence or something along those lines. But there's a lot of respect within the group. Ariel Lee is that tiny little person down there that gets to drive this boat full of monsters around, and she has a good rapport with them, and she's doing a great job keeping those guys in line, and they just are working well together, and they're all very invested in what's going on.
Great, and I know when the boathouse was first built, you were saying this isn't going to change the nature of the program. It's still going to be, blue collar and gritty, and you've noticed that consistency, right? Everyone's still, they haven't let the new boathouse spoil them or anything, right?
No, but on those cold, rainy days we've had, they found themselves stretching in the team room, so I had to sort of remind them to go outside and sit in the rain, because the pavers out there are still an upgrade from the dirt that we used to sit in before. So it's the grit is still there, and nothing's changed out on the water. It's only made them that much better, I think.
Any other thoughts on this weekend and what you're looking forward to most?
What I'm looking forward to most is just all of our crews. We have 7 crews entered, and I look forward to seeing them all race at the highest possible ability of their own. One of the sayings that we have is that we don't limit our speed based on our competition, right? We don't define our success as to whether or not we win or lose a race. It's all about, did we go our fastest? Did we do everything that we could? And the racing is just bonus. We just love it. That's your treat at the end of a week of training, is you get to race a bunch of other boats. So in this case, we get to race hopefully as many as 24 boats, and it should be good.
All right, Peter Steenstra, thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Next time on the Bates Bobcast, we'll recap how the New England Championships go for rowing and track and field. Plus, we'll tell you how softball fares in the NESCAC tournament, and look forward to the NESCAC tournament for baseball. All that and more next time on the Bates Bobcast.